Hey, Mike Gingerich here, and hey, another Live with Mike. I want to come at you today with a little bit of a different topic, but still business related, and that is I want to talk a little bit about the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant. So unless you've been under a rock, you have heard and seen that Kobe Bryant, former NBA basketball player, was killed in a helicopter accident on Sunday, and January 26th. And a tragic event with his daughter, a total of 9 people killed in the helicopter crash. And what you've seen over the last couple of days has just been a massive, heartfelt, sadness around the world in many ways, particularly on social media. Instagram has been just blowing up with that. I mean, Twitter as well, but you've seen it, that television pieces have highlighted this. Other sporting events in Australia, the Australian Open, players, wearing Kobe jerseys, things like that, and the Grammys, all kinds of things. So massive, widespread grieving and impact. And so wanted to kind of unpack that a little bit and just take a look at that from the standpoint of success in business and life, and what does that mean, and just looking at the life of Kobe a little bit there, a life that 41 years old, cut short in a new season of prime. Okay, so he had retired from the NBA a couple of years ago, but was doing some tremendous things right now in this second half, or a different part of his life. I always talk about my halftime, my podcast is you go into the locker room at halftime and you evaluate what worked, what didn't work, and you make some changes and some improvements in the second half. And Kobe is a model of that. So there's a few takeaways that can make you a better business person, can make you just a better person, that as I reflect on the life of where Kobe evolved to over the course of his years, of 41 years, and where he was at in this which ended up being the last stage of his life, tragically. But a few things. Number one, you hear this again and again as you look at people talking about Kobe and their interviews with him, and the quotes that came out, and there's that hard work over time makes a difference. There's no shortcuts there, so that there's no quick and easy, to be a great basketball player. He said he dedicated himself to the craft, okay? He dedicated himself to wanting to make improvements, to improving his body, improving his skills, improving his mental approach to the game. So it is in business. If you want to have a business succeed, if you're an entrepreneur, you're managing a department, those type of things, then you're going to need to put in the work and over time, diligence. You can't just do it on occasion. The second thing related to Kobe that I see is dedication and focus is critical to success. Dedication and focus. So he showed that in basketball, with his dedication to become a incredible player, and then to lead teams to victory, to championships, high school level, and then jumping to the pros and doing that 5 times in the NBA, Olympic teams, all those types of pieces. So a dedication and a focus. He was not distracted in many ways. And then as well, the second half of his life, as he made that transition to post-basketball life, what was he going to do? He showed that same desire. So it didn't just translate to basketball. Once basketball's over, he didn't just throw it all away and sit back, and get fat and do those kind of things. But he was dedicated to this next phase, which was creating a new business that was a storytelling business, but also impacting others' lives. His daughters, spending time with his family. So he was dedicated. He showed that across multiple things. Whatever he was targeting, he went after it wholeheartedly, and that's what they call that Mamba mentality, that lethal focus. He was going to drill in. He was going after it. He was not backing down on that. So dedication and success, our dedication and focus is critical to success. We saw that in the life of Kobe. One of the other keys that I think is critical from his life that I saw on Instagram, and this was, you see a lot of younger players, both NBA, WNBA, even college. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but putting things up where he gave them a message. So these are things that happened maybe in the last 3 years. So he dedicated himself to communicating with others and to encouraging them. So Jewel Lloyd's a professional basketball player. She went to Notre Dame. Now she's out in Seattle in WNBA, and she showed a text message exchange she had with Kobe on Instagram. And in it, she said, one of the texts that she said was, Kobe, I'm in a shooting slump. What advice do you have for me? And his response was, there is no such thing as a shooting slump. There's only the next shot to take. Okay, and what you got there is a short memory, right? You need to you can't get down and see this spiral of negative things happening and say, I missed 2 shots, I missed 3 shots, I missed 4 shots, I'm in a slump. That there wasn't any of that mentality, but it was the need to think about the next shot. I'm going to make the next shot. I'm taking the next shot. It doesn't matter what happened before. I'm moving on to the next shot. And so it is in business and life. There's going to be failures. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be things that go wrong. And we need to immediately pivot. We need to change. We need to focus on the next thing. What's the next positive thing that you can do, that we can do? So we have to have a short memory. But I love that text exchange that Jewel Lloyd posted about that. Okay. Another thing that we see with Kobe's success is he evolved over time. Okay, and I'm talking, his life. He evolved over time. Just in basketball, we can see that as well. There were time periods. He was number 8 for a while. He moved to number 24. It was a different season. When he was young, he won the dunk contest, right? And but as he aged, he changed his game. He improved his three-point shooting. He improved his jump shot. He improved his turnaround. So he evolved to adapt, to the circumstances around him, his age, as a part of that. But he didn't just evolve there. He evolved as a person, and he evolved to one that was a bridge builder, the one that was a communicator, one that recognized the importance of lifting others up and having a team around him and encouraging others and seeing them reach their greatness. So that was something that really set him apart in his later years. But we can take from that how we evolve over time. We can't just stay the same. We can't just say, hey, this worked last time, I'm just going to keep doing that. But these are key things that we need to look at and adjust to in business. Is how do you need to evolve over time? The circumstances change, the market changes, your ideal buyer persona may need to shift. There may be more competition in the market. There's going to be things. So how do you adjust? He adjusted over time, and then he even adjusted, to success post basketball, right? I mean, one of the reasons there's such an outpouring now is because he didn't really go away. He wasn't just gone after he retired from basketball. He evolved. He was a business leader, as a CEO. He was on ESPN and doing these stories and different pieces like that. So he just changed what his focus was, but he evolved over time. So what does your business need to do to evolve over time to continue to have some success? And his impact was tremendously widespread. I already mentioned this a little bit, but it's just it was obviously in the NBA, WNBA, but tennis players, others, even outside of sports, then Grammys, the actors and other people who are saying the influence that he had on them, reporters, people that he were there to interview him and talking about the impact that he had on them. His impact was so widespread, much more so than those that simply followed basketball, because his life was broad. You think about him, we can learn about this from a business perspective as well. I said you need to be focused and you need to be dedicated, yes. However, you need to be deep, and part of being deep was the skill set that he learned. I mean, he was fluent in 3 languages, Italian, English, Spanish, and he greeted a younger NBA player this just a couple months ago in his native Slovenian language, and that guy, Luka, Doncic was just amazed at that, and that made an impact. He had traveled for basketball and with basketball, so not only across the U.S. and Canada, but in Europe and then in China with Nike, and running camps in those locations, running clinics, and exhibition games. And of course, he was in the Olympics. So he spent time with people. There was pictures of Olympic athletes, and him where at the Olympic Village and all the Olympic events when he was a part of those Olympics. So he took time for others. That's why his impact was so widespread. And what the message you hear again was that he inspired them, he encouraged them, he cared for them, and that made them, pro Kobe. And that's why there's such a grieving that's going on now, because there's so many people that reflect on what he did, the impact he had on their lives. And one example of this is Sharif O'Neal. This is Shaquille O'Neal's son. So Shaquille and Kobe were teammates, won a couple championships in LA together, but then had a kind of a falling out. They said, two alpha males on the same team over the course of time, it just didn't work any longer. They both wanted to call the shots. Eventually Shaq left. They had a falling out, and it was bitter for a while. But they had reconciled over time. They had reconciled over time. And by the time that Kobe retired, Shaq was in the front row in the LA there to see him play that game. But more importantly than that, Shaquille had a son, Sharif, and 2 years ago, 3 maybe, he went to UCLA to play basketball, and they found that he had a heart condition. The guy had to have open heart surgery. This is a young, upcoming basketball player. All of a sudden, shut down. Is he going to live? Is he going to die? He had to have major open heart surgery, and he did survive that, and he had almost like a year of recovery to come back from that. And he, in the last 24 or 48 hours here, has posted clips of messages that he and Kobe exchanged. Kobe would text him, "How you doing?" Was checking in on him, was monitoring his progress, was trying to help him keep his spirits up. And he said, "I was depressed." He said, I'm a basketball, I'm an athlete," Sharif was saying, "and I can't do anything. I'm just learning how to walk again." And I was down, and Kobe reached out to me and lifted me up and stayed in touch with me. And that's the impact of a guy that is reaching out, and he was dedicated to reaching out and to encouraging, to inspiring, and to checking in. So there was a care element there. He gave time, energy, wisdom, and care. Just these text messages in many cases, but also showing up at things as well. And that's going to be a key to being helpful to succeed in business and life. Business is about relationships and staying in touch with your customers, not just for the next sale, but how are they doing? How are they doing as people? How's the business doing? All those kind of things makes an impact, makes a difference to them, and it stays with them. So today, as I want to go a little bit bigger picture and talk about this, because it's in the news. I'm just trying to, I recognize that I'm grieving some as well as I look back on this, and because I had been watching his life and that evolution, and particularly this second half where he finished basketball and was moving into a new phase. That one was a key and huge model for me, in how you go about making big transitions, but then how you go about making an impact in business and in other people's lives through the way you encourage, care, build others up, reach out to them, stay in touch with them. So I think there's life lessons there for us to learn. There's business lessons there for us to learn, and I just wanted to highlight that as I reflect on Kobe Bryant, and particularly the power of his last years. It's cut short because he was just having a tremendous impact. He would have had many for years to come. So all we can do now, pray for his family and all of those that lost loved ones in that crash. But also I think, with that kind of mentality that he had, he would want you to think about and evaluate, just, look at this, look at what I did, and if it made sense, apply some of those things to your life. So that's what I want you to do today. Take a look at those things, and hopefully that can help you succeed further in business and in life. All right, this was Mike with Alive with Mike, over